Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another Photo Nation Photoshop tutorial with your boy C. Hey, today is a requested video. Someone asked what editing program I use. As you can see, I use Adobe Photoshop. I've probably been using Photoshop for the last 20 years. There's other programs out there that are probably more user-friendly, I'll tell you, like Canva and some of the other ones that has the pre-made templates where you can just drag and drop. But I've been doing Photoshop for so long before Canva came out, so I just like to stick with Photoshop for most of the things that I do. And someone requested that I just give them a rundown of how Photoshop works. So what I'm going to do is try to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to show you Photoshop 101, how to set up the workspace, and how to create maybe a business card or a postcard. So let's do it.
You are entering Photo Nation.
All right, so we're just gonna bring this down so it's not distracting. And I'm just going to introduce the workspace to you. So you saw where the picture was right here. This is called your real estate, where your picture is. And so we're just going to bring it down. And there's three main parts you need to know before we get started. On the right side, you have what's called your layer palette. So you have your histogram, your navigator, your adjustments, your library. You have your layers and different things here. And it's just a default setting. I'm going to show you how to create your own workspace here. And I'll show you what I use and the folders and the palettes that I use. So you have your layers palette over here. And on the left, you have what's called your toolbar. Now, you can have a couple of different looks. You can put it like this. I like it like that. That's just what I'm used to. I mean, that's the way it looked in the earlier versions of Photoshop. But so you have your toolbar, and then if you see a small little arrow or angle at the bottom of any one of the toolbars, one of the tools, you just click and hold it and it'll show you different options under that tool. So we can go to any one of them here and we just hold it down. And if you notice, as I hold down the drop down menu, it gives you other options for tools, and as you click on different tools here, it gives you the option for that tool. So if we went to the move tool, here are the options for the move tool. If we went to the rectangular marquee tool, here are the options for that tool. So if I drop down and go to a different tool, it just changes. We go to the crop tool and they have a couple of options there. It changes to the crop tool where you can put your different sizes, preset sizes in there, or you can type in your own size. So aside from the toolbar and the option tool, those are the main three. You have your toolbar, your option bar, and your layer palette. Well, I'm going to show you how to set up your own layer palette. So we're going to go ahead and close this palette, and we're going to create a layers palette just for you. So the first thing you do is you go to Windows and you come down. I'm going to grab the ones that I use a lot, which one is the navigator bar, and it came up all together, and that's all right. I'm not going to use a lot of these, so I'm not going to use this. So I'm just going to close it. I'm going to come back to that. We're going to close this. So I'm just going to put the tools here that I use the most, which are those two. And if you just put it in, you can put it together like that. I use my action tool. So action and history comes up together, and those are two tools that I really use a lot, palettes that I use a lot. And then the next one is the layers. It's already here, but I just want to open it up for you. Go to Windows, and go to layers, it comes here, and if you just bring it under, and if you see the blue line, it'll snap it together. So we're going to close that. So here's the blue line. So I'm going to bring up this picture again just to give you an idea. So we can put it here. And now that we have it there, we can actually name it, since we created our own custom one. So we're going to go to Windows, Workspace, and you can see it's on the default photography workspace, but we're going to change it because we just created our own, and we're going to say New Workspace. So we're going to name this one, what else? Photo Nation. And so what's important about that, because now you just created your own workspace. So if for some reason you start moving them around and you start closing them and everything just get all mixed up and bundled, so now since you created your own layers palette, you just come right here, drop down menu, it says Reset Photo Nation, and it pops all back in place. So once you create it, you have it. Now what I like about this, I like my histogram to show me the histogram of the image. The navigation bar, I love that because it allows me to bring it in. I can hold the shift key and move it around. So that's why I like my navigation bar, and I can just navigate to anything I want. So I'm going to double click the hand just to bring it back to 100%. You can do 100%, you can do full screen, you can fill the screen up. 100% is normally how I like it. Well, actually I'm going to go fit the screen. So usually if I'm at 100%, I can do fit the screen, or I just double click it and it goes back to fit screen. And then the next is your actions, where you have to create different actions, and it would do that action for you. We'll get into that probably in another video. But your history is real good, because anything I do to this picture, let's say I delete that, and I come here and I delete that. Well, your history is like an undo. So I can just, if I didn't want to do that, I can just go back and go back and go back to the original. So that's why I like my history. And your layers are also important because it has all of the different layers that are in this picture. So if I can turn the eyeball on and off here, so here are all of the different layers that we've created. So we come here and we can turn it on and off. We can go to this picture, we can turn it on and off. So that's why your layers are important. So your layers, your history, and your navigator bar over here in your layers palette. So let's bring this down again. So there's your main one. Here's your real estate, your layers palette, your options for all of your toolboards. So no matter what tool I select, it's going to show me different options for that tool. So whatever I select, I can see the options for that tool. Okay, so what we're going to do is bring in a blank canvas. So this picture is actually a canvas. If I turn off all of the eyeballs on this particular picture, you'll end up with a blank canvas. So just think of it as a painter with a blank canvas, and you're just going to add what you want on it. So let's just do a few things. I mean, I probably can spend hours and hours and hours showing you Photoshop, but I'm just going to do some basic one-on-one stuff just to get you started. So let's bring this down again. So I'm going to show you how to open up a new canvas. You go to File, you go to New. This dialog is going to come up, and usually if I'm doing postcards or business cards, depending on what size I want. Let's say I want a 5x7. 5x7 would be a vertical card, but I prefer a horizontal card. So we'll do 7x5. Make sure you're in inches. Now, this is really important. 300 DPI is your resolution. If you're going to create a business card and you send it out to be printed, you want it to be the best quality resolution. Make sure you're in RGB. There's different ones, grayscale, black and white, CMYK, but you basically want to be in RGB. And we're just going to start off with a white canvas, because when we put our images on it, we can change the background to any color we want. So the only thing we do is hit create. So now here's your blank canvas. We're going to bring this one back down just so it's not distracting. So here's your blank canvas. So you can do anything you want to do on this blank canvas. So now I'm going to show you that if I go over here and I grab my paint bucket, here's your color picker. You can go in and you can change to whatever color you want. We're going to go with red. And so with the paint bucket, I just click inside and I can change the background to any color I want. I'm using the paint bucket here. You have your gradient tool, you have your paint bucket. You can use any one of those. So, but with the paint bucket, once I select the color, I just click. I can change the background to any color I want. So we're gonna go back into the history just so you can see what it does, and we're gonna go back to the white. So I'm gonna bring a few images in and show you how we work with the images and the text here in Photoshop. So I'm gonna open up a few images. File, open, and you have to know where they are. So mine are in pictures and images, and I'm just gonna grab, say, this first 4 images right here and just select them. And you can select them the way I just did, or you can just click one, hold shift, and click the last one, and it'll open them. So we're just gonna let them open here, and we're gonna separate them just so we can see them separately till we get back to our canvas. And the way you would bring a picture over, see, I'm still on this tool and the options for that tool, but I want to be able to move this picture to our blank canvas. So you go to your move tool, we're on the move tool, and if you wanted to do the keyboard shortcut, you could just hit V, the letter V on your keyboard, and you can hit the shortcut. But I'm just gonna move tool, come and put your cursor on the picture, left click, hold, and just drag it over and let go. Now it is definitely larger than my canvas because I need all 4 of those images on this particular canvas. So what I have to do is I just bring it down till I can see a corner, and I hit Control or Command T, and it put the box around it, and I can just drag it down and just bring it up and just keep dragging till I can get it to a size that I want. Now I want all 4 of these pictures on there, so I'm just gonna bring it down, and once you get it where you want, just hit the check mark. So we have that picture, so I don't necessarily need it anymore. So let's go to the next picture. I'm still with the move tool, bring it over. It's large, look for a corner. Control T on PC or Command T on Mac. That brings up your boxes, and just drag it down until you get it to the size you want. So we're just going to bring in 3 or 4 images in there. So we hit the check mark to complete it. Go back here, Command T to transform it. So I'm using the keyboard shortcut, but let's cancel that. And if you want to do it another way, we could actually go to edit, and to transform, and go to scale. And that put those same boxes around your image as Control T or Command T would do. So we're just using the keyboard shortcut. So just to show you, we're going to bring those images in and Command T or Control T, because I think I'm going to bring all of the images in. Check mark to complete it. I don't need that anymore. So let's bring in another image. I'm on the move tool, move it over. Drag it down till you find a corner. I can do the Control or Command T, or I can go to Edit, Transform, and Scale. So either way, whatever works for you. It's better to learn the keyboard shortcuts because it just streamlines your work. So here, hit the check mark, and let's just bring one more in. Let's bring one more in. We're going to find a corner here. Command or Control T. We're going to find that corner, and we're going to bring it down. So Photoshop has a learning curve, but man, I just really enjoy creating my own documents and different things like that. I like to customize it. So here, check mark. So I'm going to come here and I'm just on my move tool. I'm going to uncheck this just to give you an idea. So now if you look over here in your navigation palette here, that's what it's for. So you can see what's going on. You could actually move it around, or you can just hold the shift key and move it around. Now I'm going to hit double click on the hand to bring me back to fit the screen. So here's your navigation palette. Of course, your histogram, which we don't need right now. Your history, so everything I've done, if I step back, everything I've done is in the history, and I can just go back to where we were. Now over here in your layers palette, all of the layers, if I turn the eyeballs off on any one of the pictures, so the way Photoshop works, the picture that you want to work on or you want to affect, it has to be highlighted here in the layers palette. So I can turn the eyeballs on and off, so I know it's that one. It's highlighted there. If I wanted to go to another one, to that picture, I would have to click here to highlight that picture to work on that picture. So now once I go to my move tool, I can move this picture around because this layer is highlighted. So let's say I wanted to move this picture. Well, it's not going to let me move that picture because I'm highlighted on this picture. That's why that picture is moving. So if you want to move up, let's say for example this picture, you would have to pretty much go through and find which picture that is. So it's that picture, highlighted. Now I have control of that picture. Now that's just one way. I just wanted to show you, but if you look over here in the option bar and you move to and it says auto select, if you click on auto select, now you don't have to find the picture. Whichever picture you click on, it's auto selected. So if I wanted to pick on this picture, auto select. So one of the good things about Photoshop is you can change the layer order. So let's say I wanted this picture behind this picture. So what I have to do is find out what those pictures are. So we know this one is 3, and if you look in the layers palette, this one is 2. So if I bring 2 above 3, it switches the layer order. Did you see that? So if I bring it down below, it puts it on top. If I bring it above, so let's go back to this one and this one. So I would have to bring this one above that one to be above. So I can change the different orders, the order of the pictures by whichever one you want on top. So we have this one, which is layer 1, this one, which is layer 4. So if I want this one on top and this one behind, I'll just move it one up. So it puts that one behind. It's not really hard. So you just have to understand the layer order. Once you get the layer order down, it's pretty cool. So now, if you wanted to size an image, there's certain things you can do. So you know about Control or Command T. I can size this image to whatever I want. Hit the check mark. But let's say I wanted to actually have a better crop on this picture. If I go over here to my, let's take the rectangular marquee tool, and I know I'm selected on this one, and I'm just going to check it. If I just make a selection, let's say I wanted to take some of the stairs off. Now, it's only going to affect this picture. And just hit your delete or your backspace, and to get rid of the marching ants, what we call the selection, the marching ants, you would hit Control or Command D. That would get rid of the marching ants. So I've just kind of cropped that. Let's just do it again. Let's just go to another one. So move tool, and let's go to this one. Grab your elliptical marquee tool, and I can bring it down, say right there. Delete. Then we do Command or Control D. So if we wanted some at the bottom, we just come in and make our selection. Hit delete. To get rid of the marching ants or the selection, Command or Control D. So you see, you have total control. Go back to the move tool, and then you can just pretty much do what you want to do. Now, let's say I wanted to put a stroke around this particular image. So we highlighted on that image. If you go here to the FX, you can go to stroke. Now what that does, and let's move it over where you can see, it's stroke is selected and checked. So you can have something else selected and checked, and it'll change the option for you. So we have that one selected and checked. So we have our patterns there. So I'm gonna go back in and take the texture off just so you can see. Bevel emboss we have on. That's something you can play with. We're going to turn that off for right now. We have our size, and you see how large that is, and that's way more than I want. You have the option to do inside or outside. You see the stroke is inside. We can do center, or we can do outside. And I usually put them outside, but it doesn't really matter. But this is way too high, so I could either slide the slider, or I can say maybe 3%. But just so you can see it, we're gonna go 06. That way you can see it a little better. Now, I have the stroke around it, or either I can just enlarge it here. I'm gonna leave it a little larger just so you can see. Once I get that, I can decide what color I want. And let's just say I wanted to do, maybe red from the red rose. And we're going to do a brighter red just so you can see it. So I've selected the color, I've selected the stroke, the size, and I just say OK. Now I can go and do that to the exact same thing to any one of these pictures, but it's easier if you just come right over here and right click on the layer. Then you can say copy layer style, click that, go click on the next picture, then right click on it and say paste layer style. So, and it would bring up that exact same thing, so you don't have to recreate it again and again. So come click on this picture, I have to just right click, paste layer style, we already have it copied. Come over here and do the same thing, and that's if that's something you want, and just right click and say paste layer style. So now we have all of them there. So now you know how to change them up. So this is layer 4, this is layer 1. If I wanted to switch the order and put layer 1 behind, layer 4 on top. But if I wanted layer 4 on top, on bottom, I just bring it down and just switch the layer order and just drag it on down. And so you switch orders. Now, so you have that, and let's say you wanted to change the background to a different color, right? So you have to come over here and click on that background, and you don't see that it's done anything, but if you just scroll down, it's this one. It's your background color. So on my background color, if I wanted to make it black, for example, if I come over here and get my paint bucket, make sure I'm on black, make sure I'm on that layer, that's that layer. You don't want to put it here, but let's just do it. Let's put it on one and just do it. And so you click anywhere because you were on that layer. Let's step back one. And let's go back to our move tool, and let's just get on this layer. And let's say you forgot you were on that layer, but you wanted to do paint bucket and change the background to a different color, but you're on this layer and you just didn't realize it, and you clicked in there. So you see what it's doing? But you have your undo button or your history palette to change it. So you just go back to before you did that. Now you want to affect the background, so you get your move tool, click that background, make sure that is selected. With my paint bucket now, I can just click and I can change the color. So you have the option to change that color to anything you want. So let's go to I don't know, let's do a purple. And just click. So you see, you have total control to do whatever it is you want. So let's bring in some text now. Now, once you go to the text tool, it will create its own layer, so you don't have to worry about it. So once you click on text, you have the option for your horizontal or your vertical text. We're just going to do horizontal. Now, we picked the colors for the background here, but your text tools, now the option bar has changed. See, when we're on a paint bucket, let's go back to the paint bucket. You see the options for the paint bucket. But once we go to the text tool, you have the options for the text tool. And this is where you would select the color. Now, if my background is purple and I type in purple, then you're not going to see it. So let's just change that to, let's just say white, just for giggles. So now when we start typing, and I'm going to just make that larger just so we can see it a little better here. And I'm just going to click in and type. So that says layer order. So this is the layer order. So we're going to hit the check mark. Now, it's created its own layer, so you have total control over it. Now, let's say you wanted to change the color now. You just double click to highlight it. And you come up here and you can just change that color to whatever you want. What would go good with purple? Let's get the blue, and you see it changed. Or we can do, I want a color that stands out just a little more. And white is probably going to be the best color. So we can change the color, hit OK, hit the check mark. We have our white. Of course, we could change the font the same way. Let's just highlight it and double click. Now you can hit the drop down menu and you can change the font style to whatever you want. But if you did it this way, you'd have to click and click and click. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to highlight it again. And this time, instead of hitting the drop down menu on your fonts, just click inside of it and use your arrow keys on your keyboard, your up and down arrow keys, and it's going to toggle you through until you find a font style you want. So you can just go through and toggle until you find something you like. Let's say that's what we want. We can hit OK. Now, we're on that layer, the text layer. We've learned how to change the color. Now let's say we wanted to size it. Command or Control T. As long as you're on that layer, now you can size it any way you want it here. You can move it. I can just make it as large or as small as I want. Now, remember layer order. Hit the check mark to complete it. So we have it there, but let's say we want it. Let's go back to our move tool and click here, and that's layer 3. And right now it's behind the letters. Let's say we want it in front of the letters. So we have our text tool here, and we have layer 3, which is behind, but let's drag it all the way up to the top. And now it's in front, it's on top of it. So you can definitely change the layer orders. Can you see that? And let's put it back behind. Now I could either go back in my history, right? Or this is layer 3. And here's my text layer. If I drop it below my text layer, the picture would drop below the text layer. See that? So that's just so much we can do in Photoshop. I just wanted to show how we create, our postcards or business cards ourselves. And I'm going to show you the very first picture you saw was kind of the final product here. Let's bring it up. And just to show you, here's my logo. So we're going to click on my logo, and I can turn that on and off because I actually brought that in. See that? I created that. I have a video on how to create a brush logo or signature. Make sure you watch that video. It shows you how to create your own signature or make a brush here in Photoshop. Here's a picture. Get on and off so you can see we're on that picture, and it's behind all of these pictures. See that? If I wanted it to be in front of this picture, this is number 4. And this is number 5. Right? Let's just bring it up where we can see it a little more. So this is number 5 and this is number 4. So if we just drop this down below that, we can switch the layer order of that picture. Number 5 is way down here. Right? So let's just bring it up over number 4. And and just keep going up till you get to number 4, and now it's on top of number 4. See that? So I'm just going to go back and bring it back there. So that's pretty much it, how it is. And here's your text. On and off. Now you have total control of your text. You could bring it, wherever you want it. And I'm just going to step back one. It'll bring it right back. So once you understand your tools, your option bar, your layers palette, how to create your own layers, and then you bring your pictures in and just understand the layer order, you can put a stroke here. So basically what I started off with, if I go here and turn off everything, with all of the eyeballs there, I started off with a blank canvas. And this should be the blank canvas right here. Let's turn this one off. And let's go back to this one. We'll turn it off. So here I started off with a blank canvas, and so I just, every time I drug a picture over, and I just added something new. So I just added everything in. So we just go through and try to turn on, and see, here's something I created. If you don't want to see it, you just hide it. And just bring in whatever you want to bring back in. So what I really like about it is that you can customize it. Come in and kind of get back to where we were. I could bring in different text that I've created, and I've actually can just turn the eyeballs on and off of some of the things you want. And I've created a lot of extra things that I use for different cards. And so here's our original picture again. So it's pretty easy. You just have to go through and just see if you can play with it first and just get familiar with it. Go in, bring in some pictures. You create a new canvas and you bring in some pictures and just see if you can just maneuver through it. It has a learning curve, so you just have to get used to it. So like, I'm going to turn this layer off. Bam. And I can move this around or up. I can size it with Control or Command T. So it's pretty simple. It has a learning curve, but once you play with it a while, then you kind of get total control. Let's go through. Let's see if I have something else that I've actually created. Like here's one, kind of the same thing, where you go through and you just create, file, open. Let's do one more. Let's do it here. So here is one, and I want it to be the largest picture there, so I'm gonna, and I can actually close these pictures, and I'm not gonna save them. And I think we have one more here. So I have this picture, which is pretty much the same thing. If I go to my Move tool, I can move the name Haley around. I can Control or Command T, right? And I can just make it smaller. Hit the check mark. And now I've actually photographed her, this model, and I cut her out individually. So these are all individual pictures. See that? Come here. And I just brought them all in. And so there's so many different things you can do. You can just really customize. And if you're not into customizing and you don't have the time, or you just don't want to learn, you can go to, places like Canva and get the pre-templates and ready-made templates and just do it. But I just enjoy doing it myself, and then I can just really customize things and do what I want to do with them. So I don't know if we can call this part 1. Well, this is Photoshop 101. It's just the basic. We could call it layer order, or we can call it 101, just learning the different things you can do in Photoshop. And this is just very basic stuff. I mean, Photoshop is so advanced, we could go for hours and hours, but I think I'm going to stop right here because I think you have an idea. You have enough to go and play with. And so open up Photoshop, bring in that new canvas, bring in some images, and just start playing. I mean, if you push the wrong button, nothing's gonna blow up. I turn it off and I can't find it. You just go back into history. It brings it back up for you. Pull out some images, start playing, and before you know it, you'll be creating your own documents and your own business cards. We're gonna do more and get more advanced, but a lot of people come in and want to know how to swap heads and change skies, and they have no idea how to change layer order. If I wanted this, like I said, to drop behind that one, that's layer 2 and that's layer 4, so let's bring that up. I mean, they have no idea how to do any of that. So before you could learn how to do some of the more advanced stuff, you have to learn the basics. So this is just kind of a Photoshop 101. I'm just going to go all the way back and bring it back to the original. And I think this is where I moved it down. And so you have to learn the basics. Once you get the basics down, then we can go into the advanced. So I'm going to try to do a different lesson every time I come on here. So stick with me. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And hey, we'll see you in the next one.